You think Common Ground is worth a buck? Consider leaving a tip at lptv.org. Lakeland Public Television presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
I'm Marsh Muirhead. I'm a Bemidji area dentist and have been so for over 30 years. Also, I've been a flight instructor, used to be a competitive bodybuilder, writer. I live on the Mississippi, about 3 miles out of town, and Bemidji is in many ways the perfect place for observing the idiosyncrasies of life and the beauty of nature, and I try to record all that in the various kinds of writing that I do.
I'd like to welcome you to an evening with poet Marsh Muirhead. Our spoken word series crew was excited to learn, as I'm sure you were, that Marsh published his book of haiku for Cold Martini last month. We're happy to report that it is already getting rave reviews.
Thank you all for coming. It was just a great turnout. Very happy to see you all. And in that long line of introduction, it's interesting that I've been a dentist for 35 years. It's always kind of a minor point in the list. But interestingly, in 35 years, I've never written a haiku about dentistry. And I think it's because they would just be too painful. First, I'll start with just an invocation. It's a short poem, and it's about the poet's task, I guess, about the writer's task. I don't know where he said this, but Will Weaver over here, one time at a reading or at a workshop, said, in order to be a good writer, a successful writer, you should like people. Do you remember this? No. No. We're getting older. But I think that the task of poetry isn't just to be a writer. It's to say something to other people, maybe open up some little truths, and somehow encompass your arms around your readers, and make them happy or part of your table. So anyway, this is a little poem called Wait, sort of an invocation to poetry for both the reader and the writer. What waits inside this poem might be of any size or weight. A thin, shiny dime, for example, or something thicker, like a nickel, but worth only half as much. Love has weight, and work, a conversation seen at a distance, feathers or cannonballs tossed between souls across the room. My sister and I would split my father's change. She liked the brown ones. Bigger than the dimes, I sorted to myself, being older. And I often wonder about my own weight and worth, if I've spent myself wisely or kindly, still in the black, so to speak, some change left in my pocket. Thank you.
Well, there's kind of the standard version that they teach in elementary school and that civic organizations promote when they have a contest, and that's supposedly it was a 5-syllable, 7-syllable, 5-syllable poem, 17 syllables total, that expresses some image or some poignant mini story in some sense. But in fact, the 17-syllable haiku hasn't been written by serious haiku poets for generations, but there's still a small subset of haiku poets, and you can find them online and so on, that write in 17 syllables. But the truer, more important essence of the haiku is that in about a breath, or in something less than 17 syllables in English, anyway, you say something kind of profound or interesting that has a little snap or a little insight or a little aha moment in it. And it's usually one image compared with a second image, or an image that is somehow transformed into something sort of amazing or wonderful. But subtle. It's a light stroke. One of mine, maybe it will illustrate that. Longest night of the year, no answer for the owl. Longest night of the year would be a specific time of the year, mid-December. No answer for the owl. So suddenly you've got a person that's outside in the wintertime. This actually is based on an experience I had camping out at an island in the Mississippi by myself. It's cold, kind of lonely, but there to experience that loneliness, which is a useful thing for the soul, I think. And there was one owl out there by himself as well that was doing the little barred owl sound of, I'll try this. And there were no owls answering that particular owl. He was alone, I was alone, we had this little kind of bond. So in that 3 little lines, longest night of the year, you do 2 of the things that haiku are supposed to have, and that's a season reference and a season. You've got winter, a specific day, then a little event or a second image besides the cold, long night in December. You have an owl, and then the poet recording it without intruding too much. And if you listen to that, most people will go, oh, it's kind of neat, kind of sad.
In the Japanese tradition of haiku, the three elements that are usually always there are, in sort of the Buddhist tradition, the transience of life, which elicits a kind of melancholy or sadness, which is not to be regarded as a tragedy, but sort of a celebration of our mutual connection in our short trip on this world. So it's about transience, our interconnections, and that melancholy. The reason we are sad is sometimes we stare into an evening fire, watch the sea crash on the beach, or lay on our back and look at the stars. Haiku do the same sorts of things. So when we say, October moon, everything on this side or the other, sort of makes you think of that, the eternal, the planets. We get very philosophical, kind of sad. But I like sad things. Haiku poets steal from one another a lot. A lot of writing workshop people will say, good writers borrow from other writers, great writers, or those that aspire to be great writers, steal. So Billy Collins' poem about just me and this eel. Skinny dipping in a mountain creek. Just me and this ouzel. And Craig Benson back there will know. He and I were hiking one time in the mountains west of Red Lodge. And in the morning you don't need to clean up and you get in the mountain creek, it's very cold. And you kind of, that's what the ouzel does. Although they're eating, they're picking bugs off the floor of the creek. So skinny dipping in a mountain creek, just me and this ouzel.
Haiku are sort of like the punchline or the end of a story for the poet, but the listener can provide their own story. It'll equally serve as a punchline to their story. Like 3 a.m., the call that doesn't come fills the house. 3 a.m., the call that doesn't come fills the house. Everyone can relate to that. Who's had a missing child, a missing lover, being cheated on, a dying relative. And that's the way they work. And as I recite these now, they seem sort of straightforward and they would be easy to write, but when you sit down to write one from scratch, they're very difficult. So I always tell students, read 100 of them and then try to write one for a while. Read another 100, write one for a while. And maybe once, if you work a few hours a week at it, you might come up with 1 or 2 a month that are good.
Mountain pool. The trout points the way to the glacier. Mountain pool, the trout points the way to the glacier. Summer squall. The lily pads hold the pond in place. And this is called the Anti Haiku, which is about all the rules you want to break when they've just become too oppressive. Releasing the animals. The Anti Haiku. I'm releasing the animals from their 3-barred jails, the 17 shackles of their confinement, the prohibition keeping them from seasons not their own, setting the frogs free of that plop in water, cicadas, their summer slavery, walking sticks, herons, beetles and geese, free to travel any month, any climate, accepted in comparison, not a cutting word in sight. Crows allowed a wedding in the tropics, the cemetery vacant. Let the rabbit in winter reside in Palm Springs. Let all of them be like something else if they like. Let seam be the finale of any line. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have an idea for a Common Ground piece that pertains to North Central Minnesota, email us at legacy@lptv.org or call us 218-333-3022. To view any episode of Common Ground online, visit us at lptv.org. To order individual segments or entire episodes of Common Ground, please call 218-333-3020. Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people on the 4th of November, 2008.